Okay folks, hello. So this is going to be a boat, obviously, by the sea with a little bit of sand dunes or something and a bit of beach. The biggest thing is the boat, and as you can see I've had a bit of a scribble drawing it. I will now, I've drawn it and I've photographed it. I will now rub some of this out because it's too dark, but I wanted it to be available to you. I've also potentially made it a little bit big for the paper because I'm just working on a little bit of A5. Obviously if you're on A4 you can make it a little bit bigger, but do step it down into this, finishing in this bottom third of the paper, because otherwise composition wise it won't look right. So I just use this little putty rubber, which is really good for just picking up. I don't really like the pencil lines always showing through on things like this, but if you don't mind it, leave them, that's fine. I'm also working downstairs still in the kitchen because hubby's still not well. You might hear him coughing in the background. So I apologise for the noise in the background. So I'm using my usual brushes today. My large squirrel mop brush holds lots of water and gets some, it's got a really nice point as well. My little zero rigger brush, which is great for doing like grasses or finer things, and my Winsor & Newton synthetic round brush number 4, which I really like. I'm also going to use a little bit of wax. This is just a chunk taken off a candle because I want to just reserve some light, so I'm going to just run a little bit along the edge of that breakwater that I want. Just helps keep some light in the sea. I might want a little bit in, so the light for this one is coming this way, so it's coming left to right. I will put a little arrow on so I remind myself. So that means that the inside of the boat is all in a lighter tone, so I'm just going to run a little bit along some of those edges and down this back edge and along this edge, and then probably just down where this prow of the boat meets, maybe just an occasional bit in there, and then just because I want to protect that bit. So that's that one. So time to grab that squirty bottle, spray up your paints. I've done one spray already on these, so these today are Winsor & Newton, just student grade paints with in a nice tray. They're around about £30 to £40 depending where you get them from. And as always I've got lots and lots of kitchen roll available. So I'm going to start with the sky because I quite like working downwards, and it's quite a bright sunny day, so I'm going to just get a little bit of ultramarine and some cerulean, and that actually makes cobalt blue. So if you have cobalt blue in a tube, that's roughly what that is. Apparently it was expensive to just use ultramarine, and so they invented cobalt blue. And I'm going to just give my paper a little bit of a squirt because I want some soft edges and some hubby's still not very well after Christmas, really simple. A simple wash. I'm just going to run a damp brush across here because I don't want it to dark on there. I'm not bothered about this running into the sea because I'm going to overpaint that anyway. So I'm just going to load a little bit of pigment into the top of the sky. So I've just added a little bit of magenta into my mix. Just for a little bit of and I'm just going to add a little bit of phthalo blue in there. It's a bit of a more greeny blue. Okay. So sprayed up a little bit of kitchen roll. I'm just going to lift out some cloud shapes on this cloudy day. There we go. I'm just going to run tissue on there as well, just to tidy that up. The nice bit about watercolour really. So I just want to do a really light blue grey for the clouds. So I'm still going to use a little bit of this phthalo blue, I quite like it. And I'm just going to drop in a little bit of yellow ochre into there, makes it greeny colour. Onto my brush, and a little bit of red, cadmium light red, will turn it like a warm grey. I'm just going to add a touch of phthalo, there we go. So just a nice grey colour, and basically any time you mix the three primers together you get a grey colour. And I'm just going to add that into the clouds. Just running it into the base of the clouds as well, because that's where mainly you get that colour. And I'm just going to add a tiny touch of Payne's Grey into that mix. So that's made like a bluey grey colour. Still very, very watery. I don't want anything too heavy. And I'm just adding a little bit into the clouds, and then I'm just going to leave it to do its thing. Just with a damp brush there, picking up that extra pigment. And I'm just going to turn it on its side because I want the clouds to run this way. And I'm just going to pause and have a break. Let it dry. So I'm back. This is near enough dry. I'm not bothered about these little blooms because they're going to go behind sand dune. Sorry, I've got a bit of brain fog today. And we're probably going to put a little distant range of mountains or something across here, or we might not, it depends. I just want to soften some of these harder edges in the clouds, so it's very, very dry. and I'm just going to take my little number 4 brush, water on it, and then take some of the excess water off, and then just soften some of the edges away. Take a little bit of the excess water off because you don't want it dripping. And just work at it, and then if I've got a clean bit, just dabbing it away. It just softens some of those harder edges. And makes your clouds look a little bit more real, I suppose. Okay, so I'm just carrying on softening these edges. Just puts a little bit of depth in to your clouds. So you can do as little or as much as you want on there, but it builds a sense of it having 3 dimensions rather than just 2. Really nice tip. Plenty of fresh clean water. Right, I'm going to call that a day, leave that to dry for a little bit. Okie dokie, so I'm back. This is near enough dry. Remember, when it's dry it's flat normally, so that leaves us a lot of space to work. Okay, so we're next, I think we'll do the first wash on this boat. So remember, your first washes you want really, really quite light, and we can always make them darker, but it's a difficult thing to make them lighter. So I'm going to take some yellow ochre, or you can use some raw sienna, quite similar colours. So there we go, quite watery, plenty of water in there with that. Oops, I'm not sure what that is, or it might be a little bit of blue from another thing, that's okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit of cadmium red light into there. I'm wanting to sort of keep the colours similar for colour harmony. So I've made like a really sort of weak beigey brown colour. Plenty of it. And I'm going to go on the inside of the boat with this colour. See where I've put those little bits of wax before, and they're pushing the paint away very nicely. And I'm also going to go down this edge because that's wooden. So the edge of the boat and the inside of the boat. So that's quite nice, isn't it? That's a nice start, and I'm going to add just a little bit of this onto here as well as a bit of underpainting. Okay, so that one's done. Whilst that's drying, this is dry, so we can work on the sea. So for the sea, I'm going to use phthalo blue. Again, quite a lot of water into it. So And remember, you can run across so we're going to put some sand dunes on there. So that's the first wash of the phthalo blue. Let it soak in a little bit, and then I'm just going to add some Payne's grey or some indigo. I might do indigo into this one. You could use Payne's grey into that phthalo blue, quite strong now, because that's a wet wash and I want these to stay in place. And I'm just going to run wash my brush, take most of the water out of it. I'm just going to sort this bit out. And then I'm just going to drop a little bit of green into that mix to make a turquoise. Any green doesn't matter, but I just want a little lighter turquoise colour. Just to add a little bit of interest into the sea. So, that was quite simple. See, done. I'm just going to lift out some highlights. So just a damp brush, wet your brush, wash it off, take the water off, run your damp brush across. And it brings a little few highlights into that. So whilst it's damp, I'm going to just use, I think I'm going to just use this grey that we did the clouds with and add a little bit of this to it to make like an Air Force blue, quite wet. And I'm just going to put up some very faint, not a lot of painting, distant mountains. Again, you don't have to do this, it's fine. Putting that one on, I'm going to let that dry, and then I will put another one over the top. Blue's a really good colour for them being in the distance. Just letting it soak in a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this bluey grey colour into the mix. As you can see, quite a lot of water in there. I just want some very distant hills, so really pale. I'm just going to add a little bit more colour into that mix, same mixture, so it's the sea colour and the sky colour together, just to draw one going in front. Now, you don't need to do this. If you don't want them to have mountains, don't put them on. But it's a great way of just building a bit of perspective in your painting. I'm really struggling to get the colours to show up for you today. The light is so poor at the moment. But it's much lighter than you see on there. But I don't know what to do differently.